You're watching USA Coin Mint X channel. Subscribe me, where ordinary US coins turn into extraordinary money, and today, we're counting down the top 5 most valuable Jefferson nickels that collectors are desperately hunting for right now. Make sure you watch till the end, because the last coin on this list has shocked the entire coin world. Most people think nickels are pocket trash, but some Jefferson nickels, especially rare Monticello issues, have sold for thousands and even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the scary part, some of these coins are still out there in circulation.
The Jefferson nickel is one of the most common coins in the United States, yet some versions of this simple 5-cent coin have sold for surprisingly big money. Many people pass them every day without realizing that certain Jefferson nickels, especially from the 1970s, can be worth far more than face value. Today, we are focusing on the Jefferson nickel from 1974, including the Monticello design, and why some of these coins have attracted serious attention from collectors. At first glance, a 1974 Jefferson nickel looks ordinary. It is a 5-cent coin that millions of Americans used in daily transactions. However, coin collecting is not about how common a coin looks, but about its details, condition, and unique characteristics. Sometimes, even a coin that seems very common can become valuable under the right circumstances. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938. It replaced the Buffalo nickel and featured President Thomas Jefferson on the front. On the back of the coin, the design shows Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia. This design remained largely unchanged for decades, making it one of the most recognizable coins in American history. By the time 1974 arrived, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for more than 35 years. The United States Mint produced millions of nickels that year. Most 1974 Jefferson nickels were struck at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, while others were struck at the Denver Mint with a D mint mark. Both versions exist today, and both are commonly found in circulation. Because so many were produced, most 1974 Jefferson nickels are only worth their face value of 5 cents. However, that does not mean they are unimportant or worthless to collectors. Value in coin collecting depends heavily on condition. A well-preserved coin that has never been circulated can be far more valuable than one that shows wear from years of use. A 1974 Jefferson nickel in average circulated condition usually has scratches, dull surfaces, and worn details. These coins are very common and have little collector premium. But when you move into uncirculated condition, the story changes. Uncirculated coins are those that were never used in everyday transactions and still retain their original mint luster. Collectors pay close attention to grading. Coins are graded on a scale, and higher grades mean better condition. A 1974 Jefferson nickel graded at the higher end of the mint state scale can sell for significantly more than face value. In some cases, these high-grade coins have sold for hundreds of dollars at auctions. The reason for this is simple. While millions of 1974 nickels were made, very few survived in near-perfect condition. Over time, most were used, damaged, or lost. Finding one with sharp details, clean surfaces, and strong strike quality is not easy. This scarcity in top condition creates demand among collectors. Another factor that can increase value is strike quality. Some Jefferson nickels were weakly struck, meaning the details on Monticello or Jefferson's hair are not sharp. Coins with strong, full details are more desirable. Collectors often look closely at the steps of Monticello on the reverse. Nickels with clear, full steps are especially popular and can command higher prices. Errors also play a role in creating big value. Mint errors occur when something goes wrong during the striking process. These can include off-center strikes, double details, planchet errors, or die cracks. A 1974 Jefferson nickel with a noticeable and authentic error can be worth much more than a normal example. There have been cases where Jefferson nickels, including those from the 1970s, sold for impressive amounts due to rare errors or exceptional condition. These sales often surprise people who believe that only very old coins can be valuable. In reality, modern coins can also be worth serious money if they meet the right criteria. It is important to be realistic and honest when discussing value. Not every 1974 Jefferson nickel is a hidden treasure. Most are still worth 5 cents. Claims that every coin from this year is worth thousands of dollars are simply not true. However, the possibility of finding a valuable example is what makes coin collecting exciting. That if you think you have a special 1974 Jefferson nickel, the first step is to examine it carefully. Look at the date, check for a mint mark, and inspect the condition. Avoid cleaning the coin, as cleaning can damage the surface and reduce value. Collectors prefer coins with natural surfaces, even if they show some age. For coins that appear to be in excellent condition or show unusual features, professional grading can be a smart option. Reputable grading services can authenticate the coin and assign an official grade, which helps establish its market value. Graded coins are also easier to sell and more trusted by buyers. The Jefferson nickel may not seem glamorous at first, but it represents an important part of American history. It reflects the nation's respect for Thomas Jefferson and showcases Monticello, a symbol of early American architecture and leadership. Coins like the 1974 nickel remind us that history is not only found in museums but also in everyday objects. In the end, the real value of a Jefferson nickel is not just measured in dollars. It is also measured in history, craftsmanship, and the thrill of discovery. Whether you are a beginner collector or someone who just enjoys checking pocket change, the 1974 Jefferson nickel proves that even simple coins can hold surprising stories. So next time you come across a Jefferson nickel, take a closer look. You never know when an ordinary 5-cent coin might turn out to be something special. And if you enjoy learning about coins like this, be sure to stay curious, keep searching, and continue exploring the fascinating world of U.S. coin collecting. Imagine pulling a handful of loose change out of your pocket at the end of the day. Pennies, nickels, maybe a quarter or two. Coins you've seen 1,000 times before. But what if one of those ordinary-looking coins was hiding an extraordinary story? What if a simple nickel, something most people ignore or even throw into a jar, could make collectors stop and stare? Today we're talking about a coin that has sparked curiosity all across the United States. A modern coin. A coin many people already own. The 2007 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark, featuring Monticello on the reverse. Some call it common. Others believe certain examples could be extremely valuable. And online, you may have even seen shocking claims saying this coin is worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. So what is the real story behind this nickel? Let's take a closer look. The Jefferson nickel has been part of American pocket change since 1938. For decades, it carried the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front and his historic home, Monticello, on the back. In 2007, the U.S. Mint returned fully to this classic Monticello design after experimenting with special westward journey designs in previous years. The 2007 nickel was struck in large numbers. Most of them were made at the Philadelphia Mint and carry no mint mark, which is completely normal for Philadelphia coins. Others were made in Denver and carry a small d. The Philadelphia version, the one with no mint mark, is the coin that has caused so much discussion. At first glance, the 2007 no mint mark Jefferson nickel looks ordinary. It's made of the standard copper-nickel composition, weighs 5 grams, and has a face value of just 5 cents. Millions were produced, and most are still worth exactly that in circulated condition. So why all the excitement? The answer lies in rare mint errors, unusual conditions, and online myths. Some collectors have discovered 2007 Jefferson nickels with striking abnormalities. These include off-center strikes, missing details, die cracks, weak strikes, and other minting errors that occurred during production. When such errors are genuine and professionally verified, they can dramatically increase a coin's value. A standard 2007 no mint mark nickel in everyday condition is usually worth 5 to 10 cents. In uncirculated condition, it may be worth $1 to $3. That's the reality for the vast majority of these coins. However, error coins are a completely different story. Certain rare error nickels from modern years have sold for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. In extremely rare cases involving dramatic mint errors or unique production mistakes, values can climb much higher. This is where stories begin to grow, and numbers start getting exaggerated online. You may have seen claims saying a 2007 Jefferson nickel is worth $9,780,000. Let's be very clear here. There is no verified sale of a normal 2007 Jefferson nickel anywhere near that amount. Those figures are not supported by auction records, grading companies, or reputable numismatic sources. But here's the important part. Just because the extreme numbers are not real doesn't mean you should ignore your coins. Every year, collectors discover new varieties and errors that were overlooked for years. Coins that once seemed ordinary suddenly become highly desirable when something unusual is confirmed. A missing layer, a wrong planchet, or a dramatic strike error can turn a pocket-change nickel into a four-figure collectible. Condition also matters more than most people realize. A 2007 Jefferson nickel that has never been circulated, with sharp details, full steps on Monticello, and original luster, is far more desirable than a worn example. Professional grading services look closely at these details, and high-grade coins can bring surprising premiums. Another reason this coin gets attention is accessibility. Unlike rare gold coins or early silver pieces, this nickel is something people can actually find. It reminds collectors that treasure doesn't always come from auctions or old collections. Sometimes it comes from change at a grocery store or a forgotten coin jar. This is what makes modern coin hunting exciting. It's not about guaranteed riches. It's about the possibility. The idea that history, mistakes, and chance can all meet in something small enough to fit in your pocket. If you believe you've found something unusual, the worst thing you can do is clean the coin. Cleaning destroys surfaces, removes original metal, and can reduce a coin's value to almost nothing. Always leave the coin exactly as you found it. Use a magnifying glass. Look closely at Jefferson's portrait. Examine the steps of Monticello. Check the edges. Compare it to a normal nickel from the same year. If something looks clearly different, then it may be worth further investigation. For potentially valuable coins, professional grading by companies like PCGS or NGC is the safest way to confirm authenticity and value. These services separate real discoveries from internet rumors. So what is the true worth of a 2007 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel? Most are worth face value. Some are worth a few dollars. A very small number with verified, dramatic errors can be worth hundreds or even thousands. The million-dollar stories belong more to online exaggeration than reality, but the excitement behind the search is very real. The real value of this coin may not be measured only in money. It represents curiosity, learning, and the thrill of discovery. It reminds us to pay attention to the small things, to slow down, to look twice. Next time you receive change, don't rush to spend it. That ordinary nickel might have an uncommon story. And even if it doesn't make you rich, it might just make you a collector. If you enjoyed this story and want more deep dives into rare US coins, pocket change finds, and the truth behind viral coin values, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever found a strange or unusual coin in your change? You never know what you might already be holding. Collectors all over the United States have a special appreciation for a coin that many people still carry in their pockets every day. It is small, simple, and often overlooked, yet it holds a deep connection to American history and everyday life. That coin is the Jefferson nickel, especially the 1999 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark on the reverse, featuring the famous Monticello design. At first glance, a 5-cent coin may not seem exciting. But for collectors, the Jefferson nickel represents consistency, history, and the idea that valuable collectibles do not always need to be rare or expensive to be meaningful. This is one of the main reasons why Jefferson Nickels continue to attract both beginner and experienced collectors. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It was designed by Felix Schlag and features Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, on the front of the coin. On the back, the design shows Monticello, Jefferson's historic home in Virginia. This design remained mostly unchanged for decades, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage. Collectors love this coin because it represents stability in American money. While many U.S. coins have gone through frequent redesigns, the Jefferson nickel stayed familiar for generations. Parents, grandparents, and children all used the same basic design, creating a strong sense of nostalgia. Many collectors today remember finding Jefferson nickels in their pocket change as kids, and that emotional connection plays a big role in why the coin is so beloved. The 1999 P Jefferson nickel is particularly interesting. The P stands for the Philadelphia Mint, which began using the P mint mark on nickels in 1980. Although the coin is often described as having no mint mark on the reverse, the mint mark actually appears on the front near Jefferson's portrait. This detail sometimes confuses new collectors, but it also adds to the coin's identity and educational value. The year 1999 itself is special in U.S. coin history. It was the first year of the 50-state quarters program, which brought millions of new people into coin collecting. During this time, many Americans started paying closer attention to their change, and Jefferson nickels from the same year became part of that renewed interest. Collectors often like pairing 1999 nickels with state quarters from the same year as part of a complete historical set. Another reason collectors love the Jefferson nickel is accessibility. Unlike rare gold coins or early American silver coins, Jefferson nickels are affordable. This allows collectors to focus on quality rather than just ownership. A collector can search for coins with better strikes, cleaner surfaces, and stronger details without spending a lot of money. For many hobbyists, this makes collecting more enjoyable and less stressful. The Monticello design on the reverse is also a major attraction. Monticello is not just a building. It is a symbol of American ideals, education, and independence. Jefferson designed it himself, reflecting his interests in architecture, science, and philosophy. Having Monticello on a circulating coin connects everyday Americans to the nation's intellectual and cultural roots. Collectors appreciate this deeper meaning, even on a simple 5-cent piece. From a value perspective, the 1999 P Jefferson nickel is generally considered a common coin. In circulated condition, its value is usually close to face value, around 5 cents. However, collectors are not always chasing high prices. Many are looking for uncirculated examples, especially coins with sharp details on Monticello and minimal marks. In uncirculated condition, a 1999 P Jefferson nickel can be worth anywhere from a small premium to several dollars, depending on quality. Coins graded in higher mint state levels can sell for more, especially if they have strong luster and clean surfaces. While it is not a get-rich-quick coin, it is a solid example of how condition matters in coin collecting. This makes the Jefferson nickel a great teaching coin, helping new collectors understand grading, preservation, and long-term value. Collectors also enjoy searching for varieties and minor errors within Jefferson nickels. While the 1999 P is not famous for major errors, small variations in strike strength, die wear, or surface quality can still make certain coins stand out. The thrill of searching through rolls of nickels, hoping to find a high-quality piece, is part of what keeps collectors engaged. Another reason Jefferson nickels remain popular is their role in complete date and mint mark sets. Many collectors aim to assemble a full Jefferson nickel collection, and the 1999 P is an essential part of that journey. Completing a set provides a sense of achievement and connection to U.S. history across multiple decades. Beyond value and design, Jefferson nickels represent something deeper. They remind collectors that history is not always locked away in museums. Sometimes it is right there in your pocket. A coin like the 1999 Jefferson nickel shows how everyday objects can carry stories, symbols, and meaning far beyond their monetary worth. In the end, collectors love Jefferson nickels not because they are rare or expensive, but because they are familiar, historical, and accessible. The 1999 Jefferson nickel with the Monticello reverse is a perfect example of how a simple 5-cent coin can still hold importance in the world of numismatics. It connects generations, tells a story of American heritage, and invites anyone, regardless of budget, to become part of the collecting hobby. That is why Jefferson nickels continue to be collected, studied, and appreciated. Not for what they cost, but for what they represent. Many people think that only very old coins are valuable, but today I'm going to tell you a true story about a coin that millions of Americans have held in their hands without realizing its potential. This is the story of the Jefferson nickel, a simple 5-cent coin from the United States of America, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the front and Monticello on the back. Some Jefferson nickels have sold for shocking amounts of money, and one year that often surprises collectors is 1996 at first glance. A 1996 Jefferson nickel looks completely ordinary. It's a 5-cent coin, small, common, and often ignored. But in the world of coin collecting, condition, minting details, and rare errors can turn an everyday coin into something extraordinary. That's exactly why collectors pay close attention to Jefferson nickels, even modern ones. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938 and replaced the Buffalo nickel. The coin was designed by Felix Schlag and honors Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and the author of the Declaration of Independence. On the front of the coin, you see Jefferson's portrait, and on the back, you see Monticello, his historic home in Virginia. This design remained in use for many decades, making it one of the most recognizable coins in American history. By 1996, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for nearly 60 years. That year, nickels were produced at multiple U.S. mint locations. Coins with no mint mark were struck in Philadelphia, while coins with a D-mint mark were produced in Denver. Many people get confused about this, so it's important to understand that a no-mint mark Jefferson nickel means it was made in Philadelphia, while a 1996 D-nickel was made in Denver. Both are real U.S. mint coins, but their value depends on condition and rarity, not just the year. Most 1996 Jefferson nickels are only worth face value, which is 5 cents. That's the truth, and it's important to say it honestly. However, some examples of this coin have sold for big money, and the reason is not the year alone, but the quality of the strike and the condition of the coin. Collectors look for nickels that are in mint state, meaning they were never circulated and show no wear. These coins often have sharp details, clean surfaces, and strong luster. One key feature collectors look for on Jefferson nickels is the condition of Monticello on the reverse. Coins with fully detailed steps on Monticello, often called full steps, are especially desirable. The steps are the staircase leading up to the building, and on many coins they appear weak or blurred. When all or most of the steps are clearly visible, it means the coin was struck with exceptional quality. Full steps Jefferson nickels can sell for much higher prices than regular examples. In the case of the 1996 and 1996 D Jefferson nickels, full steps examples are much harder to find than people expect. Millions were minted, but only a small percentage survived in top condition. When one of these coins is professionally graded by companies like PCGS or NGC and receives a high grade such as MS67 or MS68 with full steps, the value can jump dramatically. Some of these coins have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. There have also been rare error coins from Jefferson nickels that sold for big money. Errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, or wrong planchet errors can turn a normal nickel into a collector's dream. A double die error, where parts of the lettering or date appear doubled, is especially popular among collectors. Even modern Jefferson nickels with clear minting errors can sell for impressive prices if the error is strong and clearly visible. Another important factor is color and surface quality. While nickels are made from a copper-nickel alloy and do not turn red like copper pennies, collectors still look closely at surface marks, scratches, and overall eye appeal. A clean, bright nickel with strong detail is far more valuable than one that has been scratched or damaged. Many people ask if they should clean their Jefferson nickels to make them more valuable. The answer is always no. Cleaning a coin almost always reduces its value. Collectors want original surfaces, even if the coin shows natural aging. A cleaned coin is easy to spot and is worth much less than an untouched example SO. What is the real value of a 1996 or 1996 D Jefferson nickel? In circulated condition, it is worth 5 cents. In uncirculated condition, it may be worth a small premium. But in high mint state grades, especially with full steps or rare errors, the value can rise into the hundreds or thousands of dollars. That's why some Jefferson nickels from 1996 have sold for big money, even though most are common. The Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of how coin collecting is not just about age, but about quality, rarity, and detail. A coin that looks ordinary to one person can be a treasure to a collector who knows what to look for. That's why it's always a good idea to check your change carefully and store interesting coins properly. If you think you might have a valuable Jefferson nickel, consider placing it in a protective holder and having it examined by a professional. Certification from a trusted grading service can make a huge difference in value and buyer confidence. In the end, the story of the Jefferson nickel reminds us that history, art, and value can exist in the smallest objects. A simple 5-cent coin can carry decades of American history and, in rare cases, be worth far more than its face value. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced collector, Jefferson nickels are worth learning about, because you never know what hidden value might be sitting right in your pocket. The Jefferson nickel is one of the most familiar coins in the United States, yet many people are surprised to learn that some Jefferson nickels have sold for serious money. Today, we are talking about a very specific coin that collectors continue to search for. The 1964 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark, featuring Monticello on the reverse. This coin may look ordinary at first glance, but under the right conditions, it can be worth far more than 5 cents. If you've ever checked your pocket change or looked through old jars of coins, there's a good chance you've seen a 1964 nickel. Most people ignore it, but collectors know that certain examples from this year have real value. In this video, we'll explore the history, design, value, and the special reasons why some 1964 Jefferson nickels have sold for big money in the United States. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938 and replaced the Buffalo nickel. The coin was designed by Felix Schlag, and it honored Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States. On the front of the coin, you'll see Jefferson's portrait, while the back shows Monticello, his famous Virginia home. This design became one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coin history. The year 1964 is especially important in American coinage. It was the final year when U.S. nickels were made with the traditional metal composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel. After 1964, changes in coin production and rising metal demand made this year stand out among collectors. The 1964 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time, Philadelphia did not place a mint mark on coins, which is why you'll see the date 1964 without any letter underneath it. Other mints that year included Denver, which used a D mint mark, but the no mint mark version remains one of the most searched by collectors at first glance. The 1964 Jefferson nickel appears very common. Millions were produced, and most examples are still only worth face value. However, the real value comes down to one key factor: condition. Coins that survived in exceptional shape, especially those that were never circulated, are much harder to find today. Uncirculated 1964 Jefferson nickels can show sharp details, strong strikes, and original luster. These coins were often saved in rolls or mint sets and never entered everyday use. When graded professionally, some high-quality examples have achieved impressive prices at auction. Another major reason some 1964 Jefferson Nickels sell for big money is strike quality. Many coins from this era were weakly struck, meaning the details on Monticello or Jefferson's hair were not fully defined. Coins with full, sharp details are much rarer and far more desirable to collectors. Collectors pay close attention to the steps of Monticello on the reverse of the coin. These steps are located at the base of the building and are often worn or incomplete. A coin with clearly defined and uninterrupted steps is known as a full steps Jefferson nickel. These are extremely difficult to find, especially from 1964. A 1964 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel with full steps, in high mint state condition, can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Some certified examples have sold for well over $10,000 at major coin auctions, proving that this ordinary-looking coin can become extraordinary under the right circumstances. Errors also play a role in boosting value. Some 1964 Jefferson nickels were struck with minting errors, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or die cracks. These error coins are unique and highly collectible. Depending on the type and severity of the error, values can range from a few $100s to several thousand. It's important to understand that not every 1964 Jefferson nickel is valuable. Most circulated coins are only worth face value or slightly more. However, collectors are always searching for high-grade examples, full-step nickels, and rare errors. That's why people continue to check their old coins even today. Another reason this coin remains popular is its historical context. The early 1960s were a time of major change in the United States. Coin shortages, rising metal prices, and public hoarding all affected how coins were produced and saved. The 1964 Jefferson nickel represents the end of an era in U.S. coinage. If you think you may have a valuable 1964 Jefferson nickel, there are a few important tips to follow. Never clean the coin, as cleaning can destroy its value. Handle it by the edges only, and store it in a proper coin holder. If the coin appears to be in excellent condition, consider having it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. Professional grading not only confirms authenticity but also assigns a condition grade that helps determine market value. High-grade coins with full steps designation are especially prized by collectors and investors alike. So, is the 1964 no-mint mark Jefferson nickel worth big money? The honest answer is that most are not, but a select few absolutely are. Coins in top condition with sharp details, full steps, or rare errors have proven that even a 5-cent coin can be worth a small fortune. This is what makes coin collecting so exciting. Sometimes, history, condition, and rarity come together to transform an everyday object into a valuable piece of American heritage. The 1964 Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of how knowledge can turn pocket change into treasure. If you enjoy learning about U.S. coins and hidden values, make sure to keep checking your change. You never know what might be waiting to be discovered. Coins like the 1964 Jefferson nickel remind us that big money doesn't always come in big sizes.